So I can't believe it's April and I'm still waffling on about when these iPads are going to release. Why is it taking so long for Apple to drop these? I have no bloody clue, but of course, we do have some leakers as usual sharing some tidbits. So let's delve into when they believe the iPads are finally going to launch, if they don't get delayed again. Now, today's information comes from Mr. Mark Gurman, and you might be thinking, oh, here we go again, Mr. Vague is back, he's going to give us super vague information that the iPad Pro could release sometime during 2024 and 2034. But no, for once, Gurman is actually being somewhat precise with what he's saying. He's now zoning in on the second week of May to be the release timeframe for these new iPads. Apparently that's when retail stores are receiving new product marketing materials, and so clearly that's a sign something is launching soon. I know you're probably fed up with the fact we have to wait another few weeks for these iPads to release, but I will say that with Gurman giving us an actual proper time frame, the chances that we get these iPads in May just skyrocketed, because I don't think Gurman's going to be this precise if there's going to be any more delays. If Gurman wasn't sure about the release, he would have been as vague as he usually is. Now, if you're wondering why there's delays for these new iPads, Gurman cites two reasons. Number one, making the OLED displays for the Pros might be a little tougher than expected for suppliers, considering they're brand new for the iPad and they're using advanced manufacturing techniques to make these. But also number two, Apple has not finished iPadOS software development for these iPads, which is interesting because I was under the assumption these would just run the bog standard version of iPadOS 17 that all iPads currently run, but if there's a delay with the release because of the software, do they plan to launch these iPads with brand new software features? I really hope that's the case because I've long argued the big problem Apple's gonna have with these more expensive iPad Pros is getting consumers to justify buying them with a limited software experience, and so if they bring more features from macOS directly to the iPads, that would definitely make these a more enticing option. You know what else would be an enticing option? Subscribing to the channel, of course. I would greatly appreciate it, and it would bring you the latest about Apple right to your subscription box, so please consider it. It would be very much appreciated. We're trying to hit our next milestone of 16,000 subscribers, so join the Saranbyte gang now. Anyways, watch how the real reason behind the delay is because they're taking time to optimize the M3 for iPadOS, so that of course you can run Asphalt 9 slightly faster now. Yay! Anyways, jokes aside, I'm also sure Apple's going to have to implement burn-in prevention within the software since they're now using OLED. But honestly, I wouldn't worry too much about burn-in considering Apple has been using OLED for so long on the Apple Watch and iPhone, and there haven't been many complaints about those products with long-term usage. However, all this news just makes me wonder what's stopping Apple from releasing the iPad Air 6? You see, I understand if the iPad Pro is facing manufacturing and even software problems because it is a big upgrade with a brand new display, but the iPad Air is literally just a chip refresh for the most part. Yes, there is a new size option that might have manufacturing issues, but still, I really wish they just released the iPad Air now, just like they released the MacBook Air M3 a lot earlier because that was ready for release. And I think it benefits Apple because the hype for the iPad Pro is going to bury the iPad Air 6, so spacing out these releases instead doesn't seem like a bad idea. Now, some of you might be wondering, with all this talk regarding a May release, are we going to see an event for these iPads? I've actually long argued there is a strong chance this could be the case because these iPads are big updates on the whole, especially with the Pro, and when Apple gave us a very short October event dedicated to the M3, why not give the iPad Air Pro some stage time? Unfortunately, leakers still disagree with me on this, and they still believe it's going to be press releases, and I guess you could argue with WWDC coming up, they don't want two events back to back, but then again, you could also argue that Apple could just wait till June to release these iPads at WWDC with iPadOS 18. But I could go on a tangent, so I'm going to stop speculating about the release. Hopefully we see it soon. And also hopefully for the final time, let's recap everything we know about these iPads. Beginning with the iPad Air 6, this is mostly a spec refresh with the M2 being the key upgrade, but as I said before, for the first time we're now getting a new 12.9-inch size option, and in theory I understand launching this does make sense because I am sure there is a decent chunk of consumers who want the big display experience the iPad Pro offers but without the massive price tag, and so this should be adequate enough for most. but like I've mentioned many times on this channel, this won't be a cheap iPad. You see, based on the fact the 12.9-inch iPad Pro used to be $200 more when of course it came with LCD like the 11-inch, there is a strong possibility the larger Air is $799, which is very much iPad Pro territory. That's how much the 11-inch goes for right now, and yes, I know the Pros are getting more expensive, but that's still a tough pill to swallow for an iPad Air because this will be a 60Hz LCD iPad, and so I don't really see the point in this. I mean, right now I can go on Apple's refurbished site and get the M1 iPad Pro for around this price, and remember that will get cheaper once the M3 launches, and also the M2 eventually is going to land on the refurbished site, so yes, why would you buy this? It's clear to me Apple's only releasing this to continue creating the perfect ladder of choices. So if you go into the Apple store thinking you want the larger Air, you might walk out with the iPad Pro instead because it's only $200 more, and that of course makes Timothy and his board very happy. Moving on to more exciting news, we have the M3 iPad Pro. So this has been long rumored to be a radical upgrade for the Pros considering they haven't changed much since 2018, and the big upgrade is of course going to be OLED. OLED of course is something we're already familiar with on the iPhone and the Apple Watch, and it's going to give these iPads tons of benefits like increased brightness, high contrast ratios, lower power consumption, and also LTPO tech so that the display can go down to 10Hz to save battery life. And notice how I said iPads in plural, because yes, it's heavily rumored the 11-inch is finally not being left out and it's getting the same display upgrade as its higher end counterparts, which hasn't been the case since 2020. Not only this, but Apple is using the same LiPo tech they used on the 15 Pro to shrink the bezels, and so the new size options are going to be 11.1 inches and 13 inches. And it seems the actual bodies aren't getting that much larger, however they will be slightly different, which means you'll probably have to buy a new Magic Keyboard, which is not going to be fun. Now all these changes are not going to be cheap for Apple, especially OLED, and so a consistent rumor has been the fact these Pros are getting more expensive. I've been pretty mixed on this, no one wants a price increase at the end of the day, but especially for the Pros where it's already hard enough justifying today's price tags, these getting even $100 price hikes would make it a tough buy, and so I do wonder what final pricing's gonna be. There are some ludicrous predictions out there suggesting $1,500, $1,800, but hopefully it's not that bad. There's also talk about MagSafe wireless charging, which I'm pretty iffy on. I'd much rather have the Mac version of MagSafe. And also there's talk regarding a Magic Keyboard with a larger trackpad, an aluminium top casing, as well as the 3rd generation Apple Pencil that has squeeze gestures, and also Vision OS integration. Anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this, and thank you for watching.